Hey, my friend. So I want to share with you part of a conversation I had here recently. It's about raising children. If you know me, my children are 27 and 24. The joke I made was it's funny. Raising kids isn't easy, but they give it to the young people to do for some reason, right? Because I'm sure I've done a much better job now than I would have then. But the conversation centered around the topic of when kids are becoming that teenager and that tension that arises between the parents. And in this conversation specifically, it was about a father and son and the tension that's there. What I shared with them was I was fortunate enough that I had men in my life when my children were young that had already raised children, and they were able to pass on some of that wisdom. And one of the things that they told me was, first of all, with a daughter is daddy's little girl, right? I mean, she just clings to daddy. He said, and what he warned me of, he said, but there's going to come a time when she starts to come into becoming a woman. And she's going to not necessarily leave you, but she's going to draw closer to her mother because she identifies more with her mother then. And at that time, you're going to start feeling like you've done something wrong, like you've angered her, and that causes a lot of tension because you feel like she's mad at you because she's not hanging out with you. She's not going to do the little daddy-daughter things that you used to do with her anymore. She doesn't find the jokes as funny anymore. And he said, well, at that point, that's where you have to back up and let mom take over. Well, sure enough, my daughter gets to that point, and I'm just feeling frustrated. What have I done wrong? Finally, one day, I go to my wife at that time, and I said at that time, like I've had a bunch of wives. I go to her mother, and I express my frustration. She quickly reminded me of that conversation that man had told me years ago, and in a very polite way or not so polite way, she says, so what I'm trying to tell you is back off. It's my turn. I'll admit that was difficult. That was a tough pill to swallow, but I did. I backed off. I stepped back. I let mom take over and let them develop that relationship, and our tension stopped. Now, the same thing happens with a young boy. A young boy gets about that age where he's starting to leave being a boy, and he's entering into that next phase of his life. Some people call it adolescence. I don't buy into the whole idea of adolescence. In fact, with my son, early on, I told him at the age of 13, I'm going to start expecting you to have some of the qualities of a man. I'm not going to refer to you as a boy anymore. I'm going to refer to you as a man. And I did that. The reason I did that goes back to that same conversation. Another man in my life told me that when raising boys, there's a tension that happens when that boy leaves being a boy and starts becoming a man. He's wanting to find his own independence. He's wanting to find who he is. He's not wanting to be the little boy that's micromanaged all the time. And he starts pushing back, starts questioning. And therein lies the tension. Here's the father who's the man, here's the son who's trying to become a man, and there's that tension. I was able to, when my son turned 13, to start treating him like a man. I mean, obviously, I'm not expecting him to go off to war or drive a car or do anything like that, but there were certain responsibilities that I didn't hold him accountable for as a boy that I did as a man. And am I saying that he and I didn't have some tension? No, I'm not. There was tension. However, I do believe going into it with that mindset greatly mitigated it. So what I'm trying to tell you, Mom, Dad, you're raising children out there. There is an art to it. You're not always going to do the right thing. Matter of fact, you're going to look back later and say, oh, I really messed them up. But there are things you can do to help mitigate it. Understand that this is a phase that they're going through, and you can either fight it or you can help them through it. And how you help them through it is going to make all the difference in the world. All right, you got this. I got faith in you. I'll talk to you later.